This is a demonstration of how you save data on your iOS local SQL server, plus you send the data to your MySql server on a server, on an internet server. So we can start with line number one. Line number one is just creating the managing object of the database. Very simple, it's always like that. There's nothing special in that. The next thing is that you have to define what table you're going to add data to in your local database on your mobile phone, iOS mobile phone. And in this case, it's called core user. It could be called whatever, and it has three fields. I like to use GUI ID as my ID number. I feel safe with this. So in this case, you can see that I'm using GUI IDs, and there's a few information, user ID and something else. But this is important. When you want to save the data, it can be a little bit tricky on a mobile phone because a lot of things are happening on a mobile phone. So you have to make a do, try, catch, like here. So for sure you will save the data. So the first couple of lines are very simple. It's of course, if you have 100 fields in your table, there will be 100 lines here. But in this case, it's very simple. But now the tricky part. You have to now send the same data to MySQL server or whatever server you prefer. And this is important that you do this in a separate queue. It's called queues. I use asynchronous queues because I know they will continue running even if the phone is ringing. You have to always think about that the phone can ring. Yeah, somebody can call you. So and that cannot stop the process. So I always use dispatch as asynchronic dispatch. You can use synchronic dispatch, but it can block the whole process. The next thing is you have to define the server script. Some people prefer Microsoft ASP, and most people prefer PHP. I prefer PHP because it's covering, I think it's 80 or 90% of the whole market. It means it's very well tested. So I use PHP. So I made a PHP script. I will show you the script in the next video. And I use Post, of course, so it's secured. And I always have in my Post, I always have a script password. So it's difficult to hack in and create records in MySQL database. So I always have a password. This line here you see is creating a new GUI ID. So this is a standard in iOS. The next thing is the whole HTTP request system. which is standard. The last lines you see here are just for the debugging. It's not necessary to have it at all. The task resume is a statement which makes your dispatch, asynchronic dispatch, continue even though the phone's ringing or things like that. So this was the first version of how to save data locally and how to save data on your server.